What's up, everybody? Don't mind me. I'm just scurrying over here in the crazy madness of live streaming and everything. So, yeah, hopefully everybody's doing well here. Appreciate everyone's patience on another edition of Sunday Scaries here in Inside Arkansas. I'm John Nabors, coming to you live once again. So, yeah, I just got done with the Inside Arkansas football live stream, recapping practice and talking about the latest with the quarterback situation and everything too. So yeah, man, it's pretty fun though to kind of go out there and talk about an actual quarterback situation being great and being perfect and all that good stuff. So either way, yeah, if everybody is hearing me okay and the viewership is good and everybody can, at least hear me, I think that's the biggest thing about this is just as long as we're able to hear what's going on. To me, that's the biggest part. Is always just amazing how that happens. So yeah, 4K camera quality, as some of you are pointing out, it's like insane camera quality. What do you use? I use a very nice camera, Sony Alpha 4, I believe, is what it is. So either way, but yeah, I really appreciate this. I know there's a lot going on, and we probably won't go as long for this one. And it's just one of those things to where, I felt like it needed to be maybe on this type of stream compared to maybe Inside Arkansas Live. I know I'm going to talk about my Locked On a little bit more in depth. And I also, if it gets brought up tomorrow, that's fine too. But my thing is I wanted to bring this up like for a stream of thoughts. Cause again, everyone's kind of going along with football and everything. But as everybody knows, the Baum Walker Stadium insanity of the fact that they have reseated, and this was announced as a reseating. I wanted to address it because a lot of you have asked about it, and I wanted to kind of be honest about a lot of it and look at a lot of different perspectives and everything too. So hopefully all of you, again, I'll probably go in depth a little bit more on some other things and try to get to some of your chats as best as I can too. But either way, I wanted to get into it and how it's just something that sucks. It's just something that sucks. It sucks for everybody. It sucks for everybody involved that, you're having to do something like this. And whether you agree with it or not, whether you think it's good or not, whether you think it's just what cost of doing business, whatever it is, doesn't change the fact that it still doesn't suck. You know what I'm saying? It's still a problem. And so because of that fact, I think we should all be able to agree with that. Agree that it is not a good thing. It's not a good thing that this has happened. But for those you don't know, reseating at Baum Walker has taken place. And this is something that Bud Walton Arena went through here recently too. And what it looks like, and we'll read a little bit of it. It looks like that there is some discrepancies, maybe some frustrations, maybe some issues, maybe, there's a lot. There's just a lot to take from it. And so we'll try to go through it all and give you my opinions on it and, maybe get some of your chats too, and get what y'all think. But either way, I'm going to try to pull this up because again, I had to kind of throw this together since everything kind of got pushed back a little bit. So bear with me. I mean, I'm already off to a roaring start there with, my camera took a little bit longer to turn on or whatever. So either way, let's see. I think it's this one. Yeah, here we go. So basically, here's where we're going to start. I'm going to take my emails off of that so that way nobody doxes me. The reseating process is something to where, again, it's not uncommon that this has happened. It's not new to anybody, but it is kind of crappy in the way of like, this is something that has happened 5 years ago, roughly. And now here it is again. But either way, this was an email that was sent on Friday afternoon. On Friday afternoon as a news dump, which already I'm on edge about that. I hate that. I understand it. For those you don't know, in news and in media, if there's something bad or if it's something you don't want a lot of coverage of, you drop it on Friday afternoon. When people are checked out of the workday, there's no live shows, there's no real radio stuff that's going on. The people are just focused more on the weekend and getting away from it all. But this is something that they did. and it wasn't surprising in how they did it. So either way, we can go ahead and read through this. It was just this email I got sent. Said, thank you, Razorback Nation, for being an important part of Razorback baseball. Your continued loyalty, passion, and commitment have helped make Baum Walker Stadium one of the premier venues in college baseball and have a significant role. And I don't know why I'm reading here to the side when it's right here in front of me. So that way I don't have to like, it's like, anyways, it says year after year, your support makes an incredible home field advantage for our student athletes and demonstrates what it means to be a Razorback. It says, as we look forward to the 2027 season and beyond, committed to ensuring Razorback baseball has the resources and support for years to come. It's college of blah, 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 blah. To accomplish that goal, here we go. To accomplish that goal, Baum Walker Stadium will undergo comprehensive reseating process prior to the 2027 season. So this is not something that's further down the road. We're talking about literally this upcoming baseball season. Right here. It says this process, along with the addition of 18 new loge boxes across the along the third base line, represents an investment in the long-term future of Razorback baseball. The additional resources generated through these changes will allow us to continue strengthening the program, enhancing the blah, 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 blah. So already, to start off, not a huge fan of this. I get it. And I'll get to more in depth of like why I may take issues with it, because there are some things that I get and I totally understand, respect all of it. But when it's talking about these reseeding process in order to be competitive at the highest level, the timing of it is a little bit interesting, because we know that Dave Van Horn and his staff were basically tasked to go out and fundraise their own money, their own funding to be able to help put this baseball team together. It was not something that necessarily was the university doing or the athletic department's doing. This was Dave Van Horn and his staff using his resources, using his connections to get to this point. And so knowing that, you can't really say, well, that's what this is having to go towards. Maybe for the long term, but it's not something that's like, okay, well, all this money that they're spending this year is coming out of some sort of pocketbook that's taking away from something else, and that they got to be able to add this into it. And then also, it's, to me, the timing of it is about Dave Van Horn's contract. As we know, he got a raise and he's now the 5th highest paid coach in the country. That does come from the foundation, from the university and everything. So to me, it's a lot of, okay, this is a problem here, because is this one of those things that was already in the mix? Was it already in the works? Was it something they were putting forth earlier? Or is this just something that after the fact that this got renegotiated and done, they're making a move on it and making it happen? So either way, it's happening. And the 18 new loge boxes, which are on the third base line, for those of you who don't know, I wish I had the picture. For those of you who don't know, it's basically going to be the same type of boxes that are underneath Mackey's Landing is what they're using. It's like the same type of thing where they're like tables, and they're just putting them over on the third base line right under the new scoreboard. So those 18 new loge boxes is what it's going to be. So moving on, it says the baseball reseating process will recognize the loyalty of our current season ticket holders by ensuring they can retain their ticket quantity within the stadium, provided they meet the new membership level for requirement for that quantity. So essentially what it is that we're raising this new requirement, and you're going to have a chance to get those tickets, but you have to meet that demand. It says it creates an additional opportunities for Razorback Foundation members to secure baseball tickets, which basically means, yeah, so people who don't have tickets and haven't had tickets, this is a way for them to do it. Enhance annual fund revenue, providing support for additional support we need to navigate the increasing costs of operating a championship level program. Again, I'm interested in this because we're the increasing cost. If you're talking about paying for the players and everything, I thought that that's what the NIL fundraising was all for. But this is going towards the athletic department and the foundation, because we were told that there was not going to be getting in anywhere to the third lane, right? No third lane. Well, this certainly is like, so what? The increasing cost, I get it. But they've also done some things like cut costs. I saw in an article, I think Whole Hog Sports wrote it, and dealing with how like the baseball team has basically been busing to, and every team has been busing to certain SEC campuses, just trying to save money right and left. But I'm curious about, okay, providing additional, as we navigate increasing costs of operating championship level? Is this rev share? You know, like, what is this? Where is it going towards? Is it about the players? That's the question. And then it says, strengthen our ability to support Razorback baseball and all of our 19 of our sports programs as we work to position each program for each continued success. So what this tells me, folks, is that this thing with baseball is not a baseball thing. It's not going just to baseball. To me, it's going towards everything. At least that, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. Because again, there could be a lot of things that I'm wrong about this. And if I am, please, like, enlighten me. Please let me know, because I want to be correct. But that's what I read this as, is it says strengthen our ability to support Razorback baseball and all the 19 sports programs, because that's what it does when you get the donation increases. Now, the tickets and everything, you know, the stuff for the Lowe's boxes, does that go to baseball? Maybe, probably. But the foundation with the money going into that can go towards any of these sports. But they're requiring you to up your ante to be able to even get into that process. Okay? So we start there. And so the reseating process is designed to strengthen the foundation of Razorback baseball, generate additional resources that directly support student athletes and position the program for continued success for generations of Razorbacks. That's just like vague nonsense. Like, what does that mean, though? And support our student athletes in how? Position the program for continued success. How, though? Like, is it via NIL? Is it via having a better roster? Is it just the in general? What is that? Don't know. It says below, you will find a more detailed information at the reseating of this plan, including an overview of the timeline and process. We encourage you to do all this, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for continuing loyalty. 100-year check and Ryan White, blah, blah, blah. So here we go. It says baseball reseating summary. It says all Razorback Foundation members baseball tickets will have an opportunity to participate. So this is basically going to be a clean slate. They're like deleting it and resetting it and refreshing it to where everybody's going to have a chance. It says current baseball season ticket holders will be guaranteed their season ticket quantity. Quantity is important, as long as they contribute at the Big Hog membership level or higher and meet the new ticket limit guidelines outlined below. However, no specific location will be guaranteed. So basically, it's saying that if you are able to have, if you're a season ticket holder right now, and say if you have 4 tickets, you buy them every year, you are going to be guaranteed that season ticket quantity. You're going to be still guaranteed those 4 tickets as long as you're at that Big Hog membership level or higher. Because before it wasn't the Big Hog. I forgot what it was. It was like the $250 one is where you could. Now it has to be the $500 one at minimum. And meet the new ticket limit guidelines outlined below, which we'll get to. But no specific location. So you could have great seats, but with this, you're going to have to move on, like unless you get it. Now, here's a kicker, too. Hog Pen season ticket holders will retain all of their seats in the Hog Pen. So that's important. They are about retaining their tickets in the Hog Pen. There will not be a new minimum donation guarantee. Accounts will have normal renewal process and have seats allocated in the Hog Pen during seat selection process. So basically, if you're a Hog Pen season ticket holder, you're good. You're gonna the process is gonna remain the same. In fact, that's probably the only thing. That is not changing, really. It says all fans who are interested in season tickets, current season ticket baseball holders and non, will be required to complete the season ticket request form eligible to get a seat selection appointment time. At the start of the seat selection, all seats have been designated to public season tickets that will be available in the selection, excluding the Diamond members, who are the biggest ones. All fans who complete the season ticket request form will have the opportunity to select available seats based on the Razorback Foundation level and priority points ranking, which, AKA, the more money you give, the better, the more you'll be in line to request what seats you want, and you'll be given that. It says new membership level ticket maximums have been established. So here's the ticket limits. If you are a Broyles Matthews Diamond, which I believe in the wholehogsports.com article, it said how many there were. I think it was like 28 or something to that extent. If you're there, you basically get to do whatever you want, but you get season tickets of 6. I have a hard time. In fact, I've already talked to one of these members, actually 2 of these members who are of this. And I think that they're going to be getting more than 6, but they say that they're 6. Because how are you going to tell somebody if somebody's giving $1 million? It's like, yeah, we're going to limit you to 6. Nah, I want 8. I don't think that's going to happen. But then Broyles Matthews Platinum is also limited to 6. Now, here you go with the Broyles Matthews Gold and Silver and Super Hog. At least if you were somebody who had 4 season tickets to Razorback baseball, if that was you, and you've had 4 season tickets the entire time, The only way you can keep 4 season tickets is by donating at least $3,000. And even then, you're not guaranteed it. Which, to be honest, that sucks, man. I know some people who have donated and are Razorback Foundation members and everything, and they have 4 tickets. And now they're basically being like, hey, well, if you want to keep those 4 tickets, you need to give $3,000. So think about it in this case. We'll just play the for fun game. Say if a season ticket is $500 for 1 ticket. We'll just use that number. That means if you want to keep 4, that's going to be $2,000 on top of a minimum of $3,000. So you're talking about at minimum $5,000 to get 4 seats. And those 4 seats, again, this is minimum because even the people who just give $3,000 aren't even guaranteed that. That means that it could be down at the worst seats in the entire ballpark for a minimum of $5,000. Minimum. Craziness. Now it continues on with like the Wild Hog, Tush Hog, and Big Hog. You can still get 2 tickets. So if you have 2 season tickets already, but you're going to have to donate at least $500. But the ticket, as it says right here, ticket maximums are not guaranteed. So basically, you got 2 tickets. You're going to, depending on where they're at and depending on who you're guaranteed, because I have a feeling that if you have 2 tickets and you're a Big Hog donor or you're 2 tickets and you're a Wild Hog donor, if you have those 2 tickets and a Wild Hog donor, you're probably more likely going to keep them. That's right. So that's how it's all put together. Baseball reseating timeline. So August 21st, baseball season ticket request form has to be emailed to the season ticket holders, Razorback Foundation members. Also is when the call centers open up for baseball foundations and members to speak with a representative. On October 2nd, baseball season ticket request form and pledge deadline has to be done then. Priority points freeze and ranking finalized for baseball seat selection. October 27th, seat selection appointment times are sent. And then November 3rd, seat selection process begins. So you have to complete the season ticket request form. Now, you will not receive an appointment time if you don't. See, that's just stuff that doesn't really matter as much. If you're it's like in order to be eligible to participate in seat selection process, you got to be a foundation member. Makes sense. You got becoming a Razorback. I don't need to go down. If you want to become a foundation member, schedule a meeting, all that stuff, how to contact us, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, that's kind of the run of what was sent out in an email that was done. And just to give you an idea, the Loge boxes are going to be right over in this area. This is an old picture, but the scoreboard, you see the mouse I'm pointing. Hopefully you can see it. But that's where the new scoreboard is, right over here. And these Loge boxes are going to be right there. 18 new Loge boxes. So here's the thing. Here's what I have an issue with. Well, let me just kind of roll it out this way. And I'll get to some of your chats if anybody wants to talk about it or anything. But here's where I'm getting at with all of this. I understand more than anybody how financially speaking, it's costing more in college athletics. 1000% agree and understand. I do. But I am just wondering if there have been every other option, every other any sort of other alternative have been thought of and exercised before this. Because Reseating Bud Walton Arena, I am on record, and y'all can go back. You probably remember me talking about it. The reseating of Bud Walton Arena, I understood. I hated it for some fans, but I fully understood it because it had never been reseated before. And if you have people just business-wise and everything, but if you've had people that are like, hey, these people that are spending $5,000 for these front row seats and have been for 30 years, but I'm willing to give you $40,000 a year for those seats. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to take the $40,000. I mean, that's just business. And I fully understood that. Again, I hated it for the fans that had all that, but I get it. That's just price of doing business. And that's the way it should be. This just in for everybody. But the more money you make, the more money you give, the better benefits you get. That's the difference. But that being said, though, Bud Walton Arena was different because it's never been reseeded before. Baum Walker just got reseeded and caused a lot of controversy mere years ago. Just, what was it, 5-6 years ago? To where I remember how many irate people that got pushed out of their seats and that they were moved over and you know, put in a position to where they're kind of like, what have I been doing here? Like, why am I doing this? And it just felt like you're kind of kicked to the curb a little bit. And so here we are a few years later, and you're having to basically get booted again, unless you're giving this amount. Will they have the success of the Bud Walton reseeding? My thing is that I think it was, again, hogsports.com in their article, because Yurchek gave them advanced quotes. I think it said it was about $11 million is what they made off of the reseeding, which is great for Bud Walton Arena. Like, that's $11 million. It's awesome. Okay. First off, I'd like to know where that money's still going. And second off, awesome. But Baum Walker's different. I don't know if you're going to have the type of results from that. I don't know if you're going to have the people jumping off and being able to fly off and give that much money for baseball, because as much as we all love college baseball, I love college baseball. It's a big deal here in the state of Arkansas. But let's be very clear. It is still more of a niche audience. There are a lot of people that just go to Razorback baseball games. There's a lot of people that have those great seats and everything that just go to baseball. They don't go to football. They don't go to basketball. They go to baseball because it was an enjoyable thing that was affordable, that they had good seats. They felt like they were part of it. And then they kind of continue to get pushed out. But I don't know if the people that were willing to step up and spend that much money for Bud Walton and for that just a year ago, they're going to be the same exact people that are doing it for Baum Walker. Maybe they do. But it's such a different audience. And what this is going to lead to is I believe, some other issues and possibilities to where we're going to have a lot more empty seats. You're going to have a lot more problems with, keeping people in there. And I think, because I want to bring up the whole hog sports story. And because there were some interesting quotes from this dealing with it and dealing with the attendance. Because I'm looking at it right now. Because Ryan White, which by the way, I've met Ryan White. I like Ryan White. I mean, seems like a nice guy. Never had any issues with him. He's head of the Razorback Foundation. Seems to be a good dude. So, so it said an increase of the Razorback Foundation's annual fund is also expected, but not to the level of men's basketball process. Last year was at $10.8 million. So they're expecting it, but not to be that level. It says, this is what Yurchek says. It says, we're in an era when revenue is king. You've got to continue to find ways to generate revenue, and you can't stay status quo in your ticket sales and in your donations. We've got to continue to find ways to push the envelope from a ticket sales revenue standpoint and a donation revenue standpoint. And doing this reseed is a part of that. Okay. But this is the problem that I have, though. You're forcing people to do this. Like you're taking advantage of the Razorback fans and their love for the Razorbacks and essentially being like, hey, in this day and age, this is what we have to do. Because last time I checked, and I wish I had I need to go back and get the scale. Razorback ticket sales are like extremely good. Even like football, they were extremely good. And in baseball, they're extremely good. But I don't know if just pushing it to this level is what's sustainable. Like, I just don't think that this is an immediate win. I think that the timing of it was not so great. I think that the fact that, and I could be, and somebody can correct me on this. People said that they already got their donations in and committed, and they already wrote the checks because of the deadline for this upcoming year for the donations. And then they come out with this news, which to me, if that's the case, it tells me that if they would have come out and said before the donations money and the money was committed from people, that if they would have said, hey, by the way, we're going to be receiving Baum Walker, there'd be a lot of people who'd be like, well, you're not getting my money because I'm not doing that. which I think is kind of crap if that's the case. So again, it could be wrong, but if that's the case. And it's so anyways, but it says it's like, oh, you got to continue to find ways to generate revenue. And you can't stay status quo in your ticket sales and donations. Well, status quo, you just changed this a few years ago. And also, where's the revenue? Is the revenue going to help baseball, though? That's another thing. Is this revenue that you're doing, is it going just to baseball? Or is it going to, but we know the answer. It's going towards all sports. And I love all sports, and that's great. But it kind of gives the feeling that they're not doing this because of how much help baseball needs. They're doing this by how much help their other sports need. And they're trying to find ways to do it. It said the reseeding will more closely resemble the 2025 men's basketball process than baseball in 2021, which, as we talked about, that makes sense. Yeah, so, okay, so the Burroughs Matthews diamond level was 221 donors, and then 257 there at Burroughs Matthews Platinum. Yeah, it says touch every area, including premium seats. Suite holders will be required to donate at the Burroughs Matthews diamond level. So even the suites are up for debate. Even the suites are up there. And up in the air for, like, you doesn't guarantee you if you've had a suite forever. Nope. You gotta donate this amount if you want to keep it. It said that the new threshold will impact about 15 existing accounts. Baseball suites have had a low turnover rate for the 30-year life of a ballpark. Yeah, because you couldn't get into one. There's a waiting list for approximately 75 suites. So why would you not try to build more suites? That's my thing. Because I've known this, and a lot of you have too. The suite waiting list has been so long for, like, so many for so long. Why would you not just try to build more suites? Those are the high dollar stuff. Like, that's the money maker beyond belief for future. Why would you not do that? Now, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe, constructural wise, they can't do it. I don't know what it would look like. Would they put them on top of the other suites? Would they put them out in the outfield? Like, I don't know. But to me, if I got 75 people waiting for a suite that would just say, here's my money, let me have a suite, I'm going to keep on building suites, especially in baseball. Yeah, it's one thing in Bud Walton Arena or something where you're kind of limited. But in baseball, you got some room. You can figure it out. I'd be building suites out the wazoo. Why would you not want to do that? But your chick says probably our most undervalued asset in any of our facilities right now is suites and Baum Walker. And this is going to be a significant revenue driver in the process. So basically what you're doing is, instead of increasing the amount of suites for the waiting list at the current price, you're going to elevate the price for what the suites you have right now. And then just anybody, because that's my thing, is I'm like, what about the people that have been donating and have those suites that aren't going to go up to that Burroughs Matthews diamond level or whatever? What are the odds that they're still going to be giving you the same amount of money, though? Oh, you kicked me out of my suite? Well, I'm not giving you the money. Like, wouldn't that be a problem? Wouldn't that end up costing you more money than anything? And again, a lot of this stuff, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my opinions are not correct. And maybe I'm making mountains out of molehills. But to me, these are legitimate questions and legitimate things that she should be asked and wondered about. So they're going to have, it says the Loge boxes will expand from 14 to 32 with 18 new ones. But here's my thing. I know for a fact Dave Van Horn has been begging for years for expansion. Folks, this is another thing too. If you would have had general seat, if you would add general seating seats, more of them, people would buy them. Because the suites and the chairbacks are the ones that have been in the highest demand of people wanting them. Right? Why would you not want to build them? Because I think it's because you want to put a Band-Aid over something. You need it right now. I need money right now. I need money right now. And the thing that's easy to construct easy can do is those loge boxes, which to be honest, I've sat in them, not great. Like your seat is all the way down the third base line. You're at the very end. In front of a scoreboard, big, like, who's buying those? And then think about this. If you're somebody who's giving under the threshold of what it is now, and you've had a suite for 30 years, and they're like, well, we're going to move you to the loge boxes. Are you going to sign up for that? Or are you like, ah, well, hey, that's fine by me. No. I just, and maybe so, again, maybe people are going to, but I wouldn't. So here's another thing. Oh, well, actually, this is an important thing. There's in addition to their annual donation, the loge box buyers will be required to make a $50,000 donation to the foundation's Cardinal and White how do you say this word? Philanthropic, society that will be payable over 5 years. So basically, in addition to your annual donation, if you do get the loge boxes, you're required to do a $50,000 donation to the foundation's Cardinal and White Society. That is payable over 5 years. Now, here's the kicker, because here it comes back to the negativity, positivity. Under your check says, many will receive news of Reseating negatively, but some, just like a Bud Walton, will receive it positively because it's their chance to get a loge box or get a suite or tickets at Baum Walker. So it's not all negative. The negatives are the loudest, but the positives are very positive. Okay. Yes, the negatives are loud, and there are a lot of people that are loud, but it's not. Here's my thing. Okay. I could spend a lot of time on this. We're not going to spend everything on it because I know we'll get to your chats, and I'm sorry for people for going through all this, but I think it's important to lay it all out there. There is a difference, and I think Razorback fans know there's a difference between benefits and treatment. Okay? I think every Razorback fan knows, because every fan knows this. The more money you give, the more benefit you receive. Everyone understands that. Everyone agrees with it. I agree with it. Like, sorry, if somebody's been donating $10,000 for front row seats and someone's like, I want to give it for $1 million, then guess what? I'm giving it to the person who gets $1 million. For sure. Those are benefits. But again, there's a difference between benefit and treatment. Because to me, it's about treating every single person the same, regardless of the amount of donations you get. Not everybody gets the same benefit, but you get treated the same. You get treated as adults, you get treated with respect, and you lay it out to each and every one of them saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And this is it. But to me, it's about, it's not all negative, it's positive. Okay. Yes, there may be some that are positive, but long-term, is this what's better for the program? Is this what's better for everybody? Are the most people winning out of this? Because again, I believe you could have done some ideas I have, and I don't even know if they're possible. But sorry, Lake Norm, we're putting out a big concrete slab out there. Okay? Big old concrete slab with some stand-up tables. Standing room only out there. Treated it like the hog pen. You bring your own cooler out there, and we're going to put a screen instead of that scoreboard over there. We're going to put a big screen on the back of the big green monster out there to where people can stand there with their coolers and whatnot and watch. They can't even really see into the game, but they can watch it over there. People would buy that in droves. Could you do the suites? Build some new ones up there. Build some ones around. Make it all around. Build some freaking apartments or whatever, like Mississippi State has. Like, could you do that? Yes. Would people buy them? Yes. But to me, it's not about long term. It's about short term. It's about getting money now. Getting money now. And it's not just for baseball. It's for everything now. So that's the issue that I take. Now, there's some other things too, and we'll get to your chats because I'm curious what a lot of you are thinking about it. It says the annual total operating expense for Arkansas baseball increased by 110% from 4.7 million in 2020 to nearly 9.9 million in 2025. So yeah, about double, over double. And it says here's the kicker. Arkansas baseball's expensive totaled more than $9.8 million in recently 2026, with more than $6.3 million in revenue. Razorbacks expenses in fiscal 2027 included $577,500 in combined new salary, Coach Dave Van Horn and assistant. So you got some more operating costs going there. But it says salaries are not the only significant expense in hikes in baseball. Your check said fuel costs for charter flights, food costs for hotels, and are also contributors, just as they are for other sports. Okay, but how are those like increasing at a high rate? Like, I guess the fuel for charter flights, okay. Are the food costs and hotel costs, are they really that significant? And again, maybe. But here's the kicker too. In 2021, its significant increase was the construction of the Hunt Baseball Development Center. The debt service on that building is $1.7 million through 2034. So you're paying over $1 million, $1.7 million per year for that Hunt facility. So that's also increased. So imagine if you just didn't have that. It says we lost $3.5 million on baseball, and that doesn't include rev share, and that doesn't include above the cap spending on our roster. Above the cap spending on the roster. So is this the third lane? I'm wondering. It says it's significant. Baseball is our third largest revenues producing sport, but it's not a profit for any longer. So anyways, it says baseball has done a great job of finding ways to save money on travel, because it's like they start busing to closer places like Missouri and Oklahoma and Ole Miss and all that. So and this is the last point I'll make before we get into the chats. And I'll give my thoughts on it before we get to yours. Is about seats that are purchased but not often used. This has been a big thing for me in basketball. You all know this. A very big thing for me in basketball. And it looks like it's also something in baseball. It's been behind home plate, especially at times. It's like just empty and it looks terrible. Your check says they're all donors that have purchased those seats. We don't have corporate section. We don't live in Dallas or Chicago or New York or Los Angeles. Those aren't corporate tickets. Sure. It says, but empty seats are striking for some games, as it says. It says, look at this. According to the calculation figures, this is great from wholehogsports.com, by the way, folks. I want to make sure everybody knows that. It says 47.9% of tickets sold were scanned during the 2026 regular season at Baum Walker Stadium. 47.9% of tickets sold were scanned. That's less than half. In 2019, the final year before the reseating, the scan rate was 51.8% during the regular season. Several factors come into play when considered: weather, game times, quality of opponents, blah, blah, blah. The 2019 scan rate was 59.6% when postseason regional and super regional games were factored. 2022, the year after the reseat, scan rate was 47.9%. But that team did not host any postseason games, making sure that they make the clarification there. And about the affordability and everything too, it says in addition to hikes in season ticket prices, walk-up tickets to the Hog Pen have increased significantly. Since Arkansas became affiliated with the online ticket broker SeatGeek, the cost for baseball tickets on the secondary market have skyrocketed. Gee, who could have seen that coming? By partnering with SeatGeek. It says we try to do some other things. We tried to get Mackey's bases loaded landing. There's no donation required from that. Those are sold the week of the game and become very, very popular. We have the same thing out here in football where you can come to a standing room only and access this opportunity during football season. We obviously have other non-donation areas for football as well. It's not lost on us. There are some people that can't afford to come to games. But at the same time, it's not lost on us that we've got to give our coaches the resources they need to be successful. It says your check was very adamant that donation requirement not to be added to season tickets for the Hog Pen. You know why? Because it looked like January 6th over there at the Broyles Matthews complex. Because all those people out there at the Hog Pen, they would truly riot. It says ticket sales and donations run neck and neck for Arkansas's number 2 and number 3 sources of annual revenue behind the ticket payoff from the SEC office. It says it's not lost on any of us in this room, but the cost is being passed along to our fans and our donors. But there is a cost if we want to continue to be successful. It's what we have to do. It's not just a money grab for us. If we're going to continue to be successful, we got to continue to generate revenue in our biggest buckets. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give my final thoughts on this, and then we can get to your chats, because I really appreciate it, folks, and appreciate everybody listening and tuning in, because I know I just threw a lot of information, and a lot of it's probably stuff that you guys could read yourself. But I wanted to just lay it all out and say this. Once again, I understand the importance of money and importance of increasing funding. I do. What I don't like is the way that this is done, the timing in the way that it's done, and also the fact that it's not directly pointed to something that people can see, like, okay, well, if I do decide to give this money, or if I do decide to up this ante or whatever, this donation, I want to know that my money is going towards something that is like relevant to like this, like for baseball. If I'm going to be going up and donating this massive amount of money to keep my suite at baseball, I would like to know, this is just me personally, I would like to know that my money is going towards baseball. But since it's going to a very general speaking pot, we don't know. And I hate it for a lot of you. I hate it for a lot of you Razorback fans. But what I think makes this significantly worse, let's be very honest. What makes this significantly worse is that there's no trust. Was every single other option exercised and looked at legitimately before making a move like this? Or was this the path of least resistance like we've seen so many times? Was it just it's the easy thing to do? Because we have precedent already. We have precedent already that this administration has not always exercised every single option. Bringing up Razorback tennis once again. I saw some people on Twitter saying, "How do you didn't know that it wasn't, that all of the options were not exercised? You don't know that." I do. I do. That was a prime example and a precedent that was set to where it wasn't about finding and trying to exercise every other option before you hit the nuclear button. It was, well, what's the easiest thing we can do? Cut it. Done. Moving on. Until people stepped up and made it happen. That is the biggest kicker in all of it too. Because of that one event and other events too. There is not a whole lot of trust in believing that the administration, when something like this happens, that they went through each and every option before this. That they looked at it from the perspective of, okay, so what if we did these seats? What if we added this? What if we just added more seats instead of this thing? You know, what if we went to fans and tried to put it into this perspective? Like, did every single option get exercised? Maybe it did. But what we do know is that it has been on record already this year where a major move was made. Well, not every option, not every scenario was exercised and looked at. Instead, it was the path of least resistance. So that's what gives me pause in all of this. And I'm not a financial genius. I own my own business. I own Inside Arkansas. I own the John Nabors Media LLC. You know, there's a lot of things I don't know about. But I just don't know if this is going to be as successful as what they are thinking. I don't know if this is going to be better for the program. I don't know if forcing the hand of Razorback fans into this situation, because it's not the rich fans that get hurt from this. It's the common fan. But you're not adding more suites, which is the thing that everyone wants, that you have a waiting list for. You're adding the loge boxes that nobody, at least as far as I know, has been in high demand of. There's different ways to skin a cat. I know it's all about money, but it's hard for me to look at it and be like, this is the only way. The only way to do this is by screwing over all you great common Razorback fans and making you pay more. This is the only way. It's the only way. I think there are other ways. I've talked to my comrades in arms at other schools that cover SEC schools about a lot of these things. And folks, these are not the things that are happening at a lot of these schools. Some things are changing. Some things are getting added, sure. But these are not commonalities. Because if you remember, I was told by some people that when the tennis program was canceled, hey, this is the beginning. Because there's going to be a lot of programs you watch. There's going to be a lot of programs that are canceling their sports. And Arkansas is just going to be the first one. I haven't seen any. As far as I know, the SEC schools, they're still tooting right along. They haven't changed it. Are we doing what we're trying to do? Are we doing it the right way? Are we doing it in the way to where we can make it work for everyone? Or are we doing it the easiest way, the path of least resistance? Because again, putting this news dump on a Friday afternoon and announcing it with no heads up to many of these Razorback fans, that doesn't seem like that's not something that you just go out there and you do. That's something that you're trying to avoid and trying to hide because you know of what the reaction is going to be. Surely there are other things. And this will be my final point, I promise, before we get into the chat. Everything that I've said here tonight is either my opinion or what I've heard. Like this is, you know, there's a lot of things that I have good connections with the foundation. I have good connections with a lot of the people in the administration. I have good connections. And then if they tell me things and whatnot, that's fine. But I've heard from so many of you Razorback fans and even big donors that are not happy with any of this. But they got to do it because either they're Hog fans or because, you know, for any reason. But this is Pandora's box. Once it's open, it's not going to, like, they're not going to cut prices, you know, if something changes. It's not like even, you know, if they move on from a different athletic director, you don't have a new athletic director coming in and be like, hey, let's lower the prices of tickets. It's not going to happen. It's going to be here to stay. And I feel like this is a very high level risk that you're taking. Because at some point you are going to price out Razorback fans. The ones that do have the passion, the one that do have the give the time, the one that do give the things that matter the most. Because as I've said this many times before, coaches come and go, players come and go, ADs come and go. You, the fans, are always going to be here. It's always going to remain the same. And I just feel like there has to be a different way of getting people to help financially with all these things that are going on. There has to be a better way than this. Because think about it this way, folks. The past year or two, you have had cuts like crazy to the athletic department. Crazy. You half the staff. You got people that are just, you know, out, like you cut. You have made more money each year substantially from the SEC and being a part of the SEC. Your ticket sales as an athletic department in general are up and have been some of the best in the SEC. Right? You have Ryan Silverfield going out and raising the money for the All-In Fund, right? Which got about $25 million. It's great. You have Dave Van Horn going out and getting his money himself, fundraising it. It's great. Cal's Cal, man. Cal's going to do whatever he wants. He's John Calipari. He's got it. He's covered. Your salary base, I mean, up until this point with Dave Van Horn, but like your salary base for coaches, assistant coaches, and all that are all on the lower end, and especially in the SEC or middle of the pack. You're not building in new facilities. So all of this new revenue coming in and all this new stuff coming in. Great. And all the cuts, okay. But ask yourself, do you feel as a Razorback fan that you are as a fan, that your athletic department is in a so much drastically better financial situation right now than what it was a year ago? Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you're one of the better ones in the SEC? Because you would think with all these things going on, you would be, right? Stadium naming rights, another one. $5 million a year that you didn't have before. Right? Why are you not? It's weird. It's a lot of questions. And like something like the Razorback raffle, just using that as an example, that should be something that's easy. That's easy to make a ton of money on. Why haven't you? What was it, like $1,000 the other day? I think Razorback fans would rather donate into that. They'd rather donate into that. Nonstop crazy. At a chance to win a lot of money than doing it this way. Could be wrong. But I'm disappointed. I hate it for everybody. And I'm sorry for you Razorback fans that have had problems. But two things can be true at once. It can be about money and it can be about increasing revenue and trying to add to your cost. But are you doing all of that the right way? The best way? The way where everyone wins? There's a difference between benefits and treatment. Are you treating the people the same, regardless of the benefits that they're able to reap because of how much money they give? I don't think so. Be transparent, be open, be honest, and just try to be helpful. Try to be understanding. The lack of trust and the biggest disconnect continues on, and it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any better. All right, I'll get into a few of your chats, folks. Really appreciate it. Jeez, I still got to record my Locked On. Still got to do a lot of stuff here, too. But I've been ranting for an hour, and then we did an hour for all of that. So I'll try to get to some of your chats and read them. And so, let's see. Dylan says, outstanding thumbnail, John. Yeah, thank you. It was a good one for AI. Dayton, England said, welcome to Insiders Are. Oh, yeah, you became a member. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Said the 100-year check looked too similar to Coach Z for my liking. Yeah, hopefully everybody understands that was just for fun. Like, it was just a funny one that I wanted to put in there. Hog Tua says, Hog fans get screwed of all the dry counties in Arkansas. Don't buy enough beer. Yeah, jeez. I like the video. Parker says Chuck and Bo are some jabronis. You know, it's fine. I mean, no, I quote tweeted that because I don't know. Like, I'm not saying, I don't want to start. I'm not trying to start anything, but it's like, it is kind of frustrating. It's like, if I put out a video that's like my original video that I cut and tuck, because that's an Inside Arkansas press conference. Like, that's what we recorded on. And like, I take it and I put the clip and I put it out there. If people want to retweet it, great. If you want to quote tweet it, great. If you even want to like hold the video and then tweet it to where I like, it still like at least credits me for the viewership and everything, great. But when you just straight up like download the video and then put it out as your own and it's obvious it's my video, I'm not too big of a fan of that. And I know a lot of people aren't either. So I just did not want to. That was something I was just like, I couldn't let slide. I couldn't let happen. Let's see. Britt says, this is my first live chat with Sunday Scaries. I love your coverage of daily of Razorbacks. Thank you all for all you guys do. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ozark says, I'd love for you to run another enemy of the state poll. There's obvious too. Yeah. I know. I need to do that. Maybe next year. Everyone's angry. All right. Well, we're not gonna cause that problem. We're not gonna start a holy war here. Razorback says baseball ticket season ticket holders since Baum Walker opened. I didn't renew in 2027 because of their new seating plan. The charging for tickets to watch scrimmages plus ESPN Plus is going to televise all games. Yeah, and that's the alternative. It's like you can just watch them at home, and I hate that. And then really the problem is too is like it's the secondary market. I think that's killer. Because, you know, it was mentioned about how much tickets are and like how much they're raised from the secondary ticket market. It's like, if that was fixed, I think that would help a lot too. Cause then people could just pick and choose to go to which games they want. But jeez, man. But then people will get mad because they're like, why are tickets so high? Well, the reason tickets, folks, and I'm not trying to defend the people here, but it's like the reason a lot of times those tickets are so much higher is because these donors and people that bought these season tickets, they're equating the donor fee into that. Because say if you want a ticket on the front row, like they equate it to where it's like, all right, well, how much was my donation for the year? How many of those are games? Divide that. Here's that amount. And then here's that amount on top of it. That's where it comes from because they're just trying to make their money back at least. So I know it gets frustrating, but it's like, why are these not at face value? It's like, no, they might be at face value, but if you include the donation prices. So that's something you got to be understanding of. Tucker says, what if they had done the right thing with the raffle so it went 100% to the players? Yeah, I mean, again, that's something we could open up again. But that's one of the big reasons I was so big on what SARACEN was trying to do. Is because it was going to the fan, it was going to the players, it was going to NIL. And obviously, I'm partners with SARACEN. They're awesome. I love Carlton. I love all those people over there. They've been so good to me. And everyone just thought that I was doing that because it was just, oh, well, you're just doing it because you're a partner. I'm like, well, I mean, part of it is, yes, I want my partners to be happy with me. But the other part was, I truly believed in it. Because I'm like, what can give the most money to my university for NIL? That. Okay, I want that. That was my thing. And it would be a lot better, no doubt. Because the Razorback raffle has been a joke. I want to see, how much did that make? Wow. $1,600. Gee, that'll get a big toe. Golly, man. Silverfield Suey says, I want whatever generates the most money fastest, easy way. Why should your Paul get them tickets instead of giving them to somebody with more money that's going to give us a 5-star quarterback? Yeah, I mean, again, that's 100% agree. It's about the way it's handled, though. That's a big problem with it. Ryan says, John, our baseball roster is $25 million this year. They spend $30 million on basketball. I think average fans will be priced out in 5 to 7 years. What say you? I think so. If there's not something that gets a hold of this. I mean, it's definitely going that direction, but at the same time, there's a lot of these schools that won't be able to do this. And it's not sustainable. You know, if you're going to make it professional sports, okay, but there's no way that you're going to be able to start paying some of these players and athletes to that level of money. And then, like, you're still going to have the common fans. Like, I don't care if you, like, do you build bigger stadiums? I don't know, but there's got to be ways that you can find long term, maybe not short term, but long term that everybody can win. This is crazy. I live in Columbia, me and Mo, Missouri, and can get season tickets to Missouri baseball for $89. Wow. You're paying for Missouri baseball. I'm surprised they don't pay you $89. Jeez, okay, y'all. Some of y'all are mean. So Ryan, what gave me that idea is the fact that you asked John if fans are getting priced out. That's what gave me the idea. Literally, what you typed in the chat. Oh, geez. Okay, are you gonna start fighting here? Ray says, I always buy a hog pen season pass. I exist in Nebraska and I wait till 2027. Yeah. Tickets for 15 plus years in baseball. Now I can't get them. This is very upsetting. Yeah, I know. And that's why I hate for you, Caden. I'm sorry, man. And or not to assume your gender, but I'm sorry about that. I hate it too. I hate it too for all of you that are getting screwed in this. Because you didn't ask for this. And you felt like, you know, you'd be helped out in this regard. But again, it's like, man, if you're up in your foundation, if you're up in your money to that, you don't know where it's going, though. That's my thing. It'd be, I think, and I don't know, maybe there is a way to do it, all of that. But it's like, if they're asking you to go from 20,000 to 40,000, just to keep your suite, if that's all you have, say that's like all you do is you're just a baseball season ticket. You have a suite of baseball games. Like you're doing that and you're like, is that for baseball? And like, well, no, it could be for anything. Like that to me is just would be bothersome. The says, John, remember what I said about basketball season ticket prices being raised a ton for 27-28 season with Arizona, Michigan State? Yeah, it could happen. It could happen. What I'm fearful of, and I mean this, all you hog penners out there, don't be surprised if like next year or something, especially if the current way it's doing that, all of a sudden those coolers you bring out ain't going to be allowed anymore. You're going to have to buy the alcohol from the stadium, or it'll be like a cooler pass where you have to spend $1,000 to be allowed to bring in a cooler. Don't be surprised if they don't come for you next in some regard like that. Brian says, athletic department isn't wrong for doing it and fans aren't wrong for being mad. This is NIL cost in action. Why are we paying college athletes millions for a few dozen games? There's no regulate. Okay, yeah, I get that, Ryan. I do. But that's the cost of doing business. My thing is, like, I think fans, we all know that it's like the athletic department's doing it, but it's just, is this because of the precedent's been set? There's no trust. No one trusts the administration that they're going to be looking at every other option before they do something. And the tennis thing, that's my problem with this. It's not that I don't have a problem with them trying to find ways to increase revenue. My problem is did you go through all the other ways and possibilities before doing this? And how do we know? Like, how long has this been in the works? Josh says, Arkansas could easily attract 20K fans. Why not just expand Baum Walker to see 25K people? That's what I mean, again, I don't know the constructural basis of it, but to me, yes, I think that's what should happen. 1,000% should happen. Like, do some construction and add general admission. Again, just get a big old TV, put it on the back over there, take out Lake Norman, concrete it, and then have a party. Boom. Money in your pocket. But the problem is they don't want to, I don't think they're wanting to give the common fans more. They're wanting to give the rich fans more by pricing out the common. Because in their minds, that's how you get more money faster right now. He says, a lot of y'all are missing the point and getting mad at the wrong people. Makes no sense to get mad at the players and try to reel there. Yeah, the players have nothing to do with it. I'm not mad at the players. And he just says, cost of NIL being put on the fans and consumers instead of TV and commercials, making millions off of games. Yeah. Here's my thing too. Like I've said this, like, you know, people get tired of like ads on game days and whatnot. And hey, if it came out, I was like, hey folks, if you want to keep from having your tickets increased and all this stuff, we're going to have a lot more ads. I guarantee you all of us be like, yeah, sure. All the ads, give us all the ads, bring in all the ads. If it meant that you wouldn't have to spend more. Dakota says double deck all the suites that all the way. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I don't know if that would work. 75 people waiting on the waiting list for suites. Imagine if they just built 75 more suites. Ballbar says, Hunter is right. Baseball doesn't make a profit if our fans, I am not one, care about baseball, then the costs have to be made up somewhere. Correct. It doesn't make a profit, but a lot of this stuff is stuff that's like, like the Hunt baseball facility. Would it be easier to just like, because like it's named after the Hunt. So I'm curious if like, so what's the Hunt financial promise into that? You know what I'm saying? Like, did they pay half of it? Did they pay any of it? Like what's that situation? But yes, it costs more, but at the same time, but people remember, Dave Van Horn raised the money. He raised all the money himself for the roster. So is the money that Dave Van Horn raised a 1-year deal? There ain't no way that he just did it for 1 year. A lot of these donors are going to get tired of this too. Silverfield Series says, if less than half of the tickets sold were scanned, how the hell did we have a single sold out game? They're stealing so much money from the athletic department. I hope they all go to prison for RICO. I mean, everyone is the same thing in basketball. They just buy up the season tickets. They make every ticket a season ticket, and everyone buys them up. And then they're kind of like, well, because people in Little Rock, people in Pine Bluff, then they can't make it to all the games. So that's what happens. Sacrificing stadium atmosphere for athletic department revenue is the most obvious downgrade ever. Yeah. I get it. Kilgu says, we used to be able to designate the sport and amount of people pledging back in March. They took that away several years back. I would have no problem donating if it's baseball. It's not to baseball if it's not. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Again, it goes back to that. Like what this tells me is that there's other, like, for instance, I've heard that there are some sports on campus that are not getting a lot of money or have a lot of money. I think women's basketball is one of them. Talking about like with NIL and all that. I think women's basketball is one of them. I think, like the kind of the other common ones that you would understand being there. But also track and field requires a lot. But I don't know like what that situation truly looks like. As far as like, are they trying to keep that? Like the money that's being used for all this is not just going to baseball. In fact, I would even make the argument, I have no evidence of this. I would even make the argument that probably none of it, the additional thing would go to baseball. Because I think baseball has a good thing going for it. And it's not going to go, let me rephrase it. It's not going to go to the roster. They go to other things for baseball, not to the roster. Butcher Boy says the BOT and AD are not good at their jobs. They are good old boy politics, and that's about it. Yeah, we'll see what happens in April. It's going to be an interesting time. The thing is, money isn't going to baseball. They raised donation requirements so they could wash the money in the fund and spend it elsewhere. Yeah. Because if you've noticed, folks, that is what's been going on for everything. Like, remember going back to the Razorback raffle deal. Like, that was my whole, call it an issue I took, but that's like the whole thing of like, hey, the raffle, if it was done through SARACEN and whatnot, was going to go towards NIL, but this new law that got passed into play by some state rep or something down there was like, all the money that's made will go to the athletic department generally. That's another problem I think people have. It's like, okay, well, where's the money going? Where's it all going? Like, think about it too. Basketball for sure is there, men's basketball. But like, what has increased? Like, what has gotten better with all these increases of funding? Ask yourself that. Like, what has gotten better for you as a fan? The sports? The teams? I mean, have they all gotten better? I mean, basketball, again, gets elevated, but Cal's on his own island. Baseball's pretty good. Softball, for sure, but it's like, what has gotten better? What has gotten, like, what has anything for the atmospheres or anything gotten better? I don't know. All right, a few more here. I still got a lot of recording to do. My camera's going to die on me. That's why I had it marked here. Kai Duga says, I never thought I would have to get rid of my season tickets because of this. I never get to go to again. Yeah. Again, I know. I hate it. I mean, you can still go, but sitting in those seats that you've sat in forever. Ozark Turk says, lack of transparency is what pisses me off the most. Showing me a path to improvement gives me a reason to give more, but instead we're just left with knowing the elites continue to pad their pockets. See, and I don't know what that would look like, because I agree. I think that if it was an open-minded, transparent, like laying it all out there for you, letting you know, hey, like this is where it's going and this is what it's going to accomplish. Because there's going to be, folks, there's more partnerships and stuff coming that are like national stuff. I just don't really know if everyone inside the athletic department or whoever is like, do they know, like, do they truly understand the fans' frustration? I don't think they do. And well, even if they do, it doesn't seem like they care. Putting out a news dump letter typed up, it's like, oh, we appreciate all of you. We promise. And so that didn't do anything for anybody. Listen, I want to be successful in all sports. I get it. But the order of my sports I want to be successful in is football, basketball, baseball. After that, definitely want to be successful in as many things as I can and help out. But it's just not where it needs to be in a lot of places. And I think there just needs to be a more open understanding and transparent of like, hey, the fans are frustrated. Help them out. You know, help them out. Help them understand. Give them the full-fledged understanding. Okay? Because if you just continue to put out little statements with no follow-ups, no understanding of anything, then it's like you're going to get people upset. And I think that's really what's the core of my frustration. Is like, why are y'all insistent upon not, like, you have to realize there is a problem with the fans, right? Like, you have to acknowledge that there's a lot of upset fans. It's not just some trolls on Twitter. So if there's people upset, why don't you try to do something about it? Even if you're in the right, even if you're fully in the right, like, do some things to try to mend fences here. I don't get it. Jackson said, do you think Silverfield was referring to Rose in his comments about someone who's been shocked fans? No, I don't think that. On some football questions, but yeah, I don't think that. Brett Dawkins says, did you rewatch any 90s and 2000s TV shows? Mine is Friends. I watched Seinfeld. That was my favorite. I see someone in here from Australia. Did I read that somewhere? Cat John Nice, have you seen the ticks for football? We're going for $7. Yeah, that's surprising. I want to find that message. I swear, unless I'm tripping balls, that somebody said they're from Australia. Same when I'm doing it, like I'm doing the 4K stuff and I don't get to like pull up chats and like save them. Tom Mars stuff. Sorry, I know it was, oh, here we go. Hi, I'm from Australia. Major sport here can be seen for very reasonable prices. Well, Australia's got it going on, apparently. They understand it. Sheesh. Anyways, hey, folks, I really appreciate it. Hopefully this was helpful. And I know there's a lot going on with it. And there's a lot of, confusion and the frustrations. And I hope everybody understands at the end of the day, like, I try to call balls and strikes. Like, if I see something I like, no matter who it's by, no matter if it's Yurachek or whoever. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And this is one of those things where it's like, I get the need for getting more money. I get it. But I also understand that fans are getting screwed and they continue to get screwed, and it's frustrating for them. Just feels like they're not appreciated in any way, shape, or form. And I just wish that there was more trust. I wish there was a way to build trust. But the way you build trust is by being open and transparent and honest about things. And it just doesn't feel like we're getting that right now. So either way, I'm sure we'll talk more about it. I know I'm going to talk about it on Locked On Razorbacks in the morning. So be sure to listen to that and watch that. Would appreciate it. We'll talk about the quarterback situation. I know on Inside Arkansas Live, we'll talk more tomorrow about that and get to all your questions. It'll be me and Curtis once again. Andrew's still on his honeymoon, and I'm sure he'll have thoughts on things as well. We're still going to keep the content going. Still going to keep it all going for Sunday Scaries, but really appreciate all of you and listening and watching, and be sure to subscribe. Here at Inside Arkansas, be sure to like the video. Be sure to tell me how horrible I am. And also my final thing is that if anybody in the administration or anybody dealing with all this, please let me know. Like if you guys have something that I said that, or if I have something that I said that was wrong, or if I have something that can be cleared up, please reach out and let me know. Because I want to be right. I want to be informed. And I try to do my best in reading and researching and talking with people. But, you know, I'm never too proud to be admitting, like, if I'm wrong about something or if there's something that's not true. I'm always wondering, I'd rather be right than that. So either way, appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a great one. See you tomorrow.